Hi, I'm Khamis Al-Ghafri. This lesson is about adverbs of frequency, and we use them to show how often something happens and to indicate a routine or some repeated actions. We often use them in present simple. Let's see some example of adverbs of frequency. For example, always. How often do you something? So sometimes you use always when it is 100%, and sometimes you use usually or generally or normally or frequently or often or sometimes or occasionally or rarely or hardly ever or never. This word often sometimes is pronounced often, and sometimes it is pronounced often. So both pronunciations are correct. We replace them, the adverbs of frequency, before the main verb. So this is the main verbs in green. You can see the adverbs of frequency come before the main verb. So I never drink coffee at night. He always goes to the gym on Fridays. Do you usually go to bed early? How do you usually start your presentations? So they come before the main verb. We can replace them before adjectives. So the words in green are adjectives. So the adverbs of frequency come before the adjectives. It is sometimes difficult to walk on ice without shoes. She is never happy at work. I'm always worried about upcoming exams. Upcoming exams are the exams which will come in the future. We can put these adverbs of frequency at the beginning of the sentence. So we can start a sentence with these adverbs of frequency. For example, usually, normally, often, sometimes, frequently, occasionally. Usually I do my homework at home. So we can start the sentence with usually. Frequently everything went wrong. Sometimes she forgets our names. But or however, we can't use these adverbs of frequency at the beginning of sentence. So we can start a sentence with these adverbs of frequency. So we can say never I go fishing. It's wrong. We can say I never go fishing, but we can't start with never. Rarely she washes the dishes. We can make questions about frequency also, to ask about how often or how many times do we do something. For example, how often do you go to the gym? Means how many times do you go to the gym? How often does she play tennis? Means how many times. How often do they go shopping? How often, ask about how many times. We can use adverbs of frequency with modal verbs and auxiliary verbs. So the words in green here are modal verbs and auxiliary verbs, and the words in green here are main verbs. So adverbs of frequency come between modal verbs and or auxiliary verbs and main verbs. For example, you should always clean the cat with warm water. I have never been to Australia. He can sometimes read long words. She would hardly ever be embarrassed. We might never see him again. Also, we have another type of adverbs of frequency. We call them adverbs of definite frequency. Definite means exact or specific. So we can use these exact and specific adverbs of time when we want to be more specific about the frequency, more specific. For example, every day, once a week, twice a month, once a year, 3 times a day, 4 times a month, 6 times a year, daily, weekly, or monthly, annually, every 2 days, every 1 month, every 4 years, every 3 weeks. But here we can say yearly. So this word is instead of yearly, annually. For example, these are some examples about these adverbs of definite frequency. For example, I brush my teeth twice a day, means 2 times a day. She goes shopping once a week. They play football twice a week. So 1 and 2 we can say 1 a week. Instead of 1 we use once. Instead of 2 we use twice. So 1 and 2 we replace them with once and twice. Twice a day means 2 times. Once a week, once means 1 time. They play football twice a week. I eat 3 times a day. So with 3, 4, 5 and so on, we use the same number. But with 1 and 2 we use once and twice. I eat 3 times a day. I have a shower twice a day. My parents walk on the beach 5 times a week. He travels once a year. We get an electricity bill monthly. We can also use monthly or every month. These birds migrate annually in search of food. My mother cooks the food daily, means every day. I visit my grandparents weekly. The World Cup is held every 4 years. I water the garden every 2 days. So also we can use every with number of time, every 6 weeks, every 3 hours, and so on. Thank you very much.